Is this new ordinance the criminalization of music?
Most definitely. Most definitely. It targets music, it has criminal fines, and I guarantee you, if you break that law a fourth time, at some point there will be, instead of just criminalizing me and levying fines on me, there will eventually be some point where a judge tells me to do something that is my free speech right. Yes, it does criminalize free speech and the right to assemble.
55 years ago, the Woodstock Festival happened in this town. Since then, this town has marketed itself on peace, love, and music, and spirit. This particular ordinance actually censors Dharma practitioners who use bells. That is actually censored. Dharma practitioners are censored, as well as outdoor music, as well as the possibility for a neighbor to weaponize this particular ordinance against neighbors they don't care for. I understand that music has different resonances. There are certain music that is made to calm one down, and certain music is made to agitate. I personally feel that agitated music might be a little bit better for earlier in the evening. At the same time, I understand what a thriving arts colony looks like because I grew up in Woodstock. I served this town from every angle of it, and I know exactly what it looks like to kill this town because I've watched it happen over the last 3 decades.
Wow. Woodstock is music, and music is Woodstock.
I'm telling you, everybody's got to be quiet or we're going to end the meeting early. I don't want to do that. We really do want to hear what everybody has to say.
Let's keep it to 2 minutes.
They're the task force explaining.
Oh, okay, I was just speaking for us. You said we all have 2 minutes. So
Yeah,
you
you all have 2 minutes.
the equality of our votes.
Can you all hear me? Okay. Well, if you keep quiet, I'll try and speak really loud. My name is Julie Last.
We can't hear you. You are not hooked into any sort of audio.
I'm looking up.
There is no audio.
Can you guys sit down? Can you guys sit down? Can you guys sit down? People behind you. Decibels loud.
Please. Go ahead, Julie.
Okay. I'm going to speak as loud as I can, and if you could be quiet, maybe you'll hear me. My name is Julie Last. I'm a music producer. I'm a recording engineer. I have a recording studio. I work with, provide work for, honor, and enjoy this talent of our special music community. In the early COVID years, outdoor music provided a safe place to be social during the isolation of lockdown. It was good for the musicians, it was good for the community, and for many of us, it was a lifesaver. The venues invested in their outdoor spaces in order to survive during that difficult time. Regulations were altered to accommodate the extraordinary circumstances. In the warm season that followed, we tiptoed back into a more normal existence, and outdoor music continued as a summertime experience. But there was little awareness of how the sound was traveling to nearby homes, and it was seriously impacting the lives of homeowners. Now that the immediate dangers of the pandemic have passed and music is safe inside again, some members of the community want to have some peace and quiet. They are not music haters or entitled transplants. They are long-term locals who are pro-music but have legitimate concerns and frustrations. Imagine not being able to put your child to bed at night. Imagine not being able to watch a Yankee game with the windows open.
Oh, wait, no!
All right, Bill, meeting adjourned. We're gonna get it done.
Can I have 5 seconds of your time? Mr. McKenna. For 2 minutes, then you give the people who are for your dilemma 22 minutes. And then you break up the you didn't abide by none of your rules. 2 minutes. If it would have kept moving, it would have alleviated all this. There's a lot of people and a lot of things here.
Our next public hearing, please answer.
Quiet for a minute. I have an announcement. Quiet for a minute. You have to do it for the room. You want to hear what's going on.
I played your street, and I'm here to announce that if they pass this ordinance, I'm suing the town.
And all the people wish for this ordinance gets 22 minutes. And we get silence. You have to see what's going on. You don't need these guys' permission to play music outside. Free yourselves. Keep the music audible.
Supervisor
Keep it
McKenna,
down,
why did you
but free yourselves.
why did you
That's a lie.
why did you suspend the
I've been
meeting?
here for 40
Why did you
years.
suspend the meeting?
40 years. And this
Supervisor McKenna, why did you suspend the meeting? Supervisor, why did you suspend the meeting? Supervisor, why did you suspend the meeting? Officer, can I ask you, who called you tonight?
What's that?
Who called you to the meeting tonight?
Nobody.
Nobody. You just came of your own accord?
Yep.
Okay.
understand that certain people have a vested interest in keeping this town quiet. I'm not one of those people. This town is a magical place where people are able to express their truth and their journey, and their music is the most noble of all art forms ever created on this earth. This town has everything it needs to become the New Orleans of the Eastern Seaboard, but instead we're turning into a retirement community that sells tchotchke to tourists. I think this town can do better than that.
Thank you, Charlie.
You're welcome.
What do you think about Supervisor McKenna closing down the meeting tonight?
I think that had the event been amplified, we probably wouldn't be here. That's what I think. I believe that it probably was not going to get any better. I believe that our community is triggered. They are in threat. They are traumatized. To be told that it's COVID that allowed music to happen after years of our music industry and our local community being shuttered, that to say that COVID reopened it and that it served a lot of people, and then to shut that and consider that an appropriate measure is actually antithetical to nurturing an artist colony. As the Chamber of Commerce co-president and the daughter of the man who opened the Woodstock Festival, which this town has for the last 55 years sold itself on, marketed itself. What are we going to do? I don't know. We had a meeting that had no amplification, ironically, which of course upset the people in the hallway and outside while we look at JBL speakers hanging from the ceiling. We also have members on this committee who have the perfect capacity to occupy the front of this building with a PA system and 2 SLR cables that go right into 2 microphones that allow the people in the room to hear what is being said. Because there is a fear of amplification, we ended up in a situation where the community, who is traumatized, was very offended by having a very privileged woman tell them that it is offensive to be interrupted while watching a Yankees game. We are talking to second, third, and third generation Woodstockers who are actually do not have hope for a future in this community, and particularly as artists. And so when you have a room full of young people who come here to say regenerative action does not come by violent municipal language and targeting artists in an artist community, it is not acceptable. The community will not accept it. And yes, I do not personally plan to sue this town, but I am very clearly aware of several people who have already made phone calls to lawyers, and this town does not need another censorship lawsuit from a musician, or 20, particularly not a class action suit.
Do you think the supervisor had good reason tonight to shut down the meeting?
No, and you know, he shot himself in the foot because this could be a very simple way of dealing with it. Have better technology in our meeting places, spend the money on better microphones so people can hear, and then don't tell everybody you have 2 minutes to speak, and then allow the task force to say whatever they want over the 2 minutes. Explain the task force is going to speak now, and then the next people that come up and speak from the public have 2 minutes. He didn't explain it, and then he created chaos. It's unfortunate, but it's a process, it's a procedural mistake, and this town makes a lot of procedural mistakes. It's unfortunate.
Lenny, what do you think?
I think it's a question of incompetence, because I've seen what Bill's been doing. I don't think there's any corruption or old boy syndrome, but it's mishandled. He's a supervisor. He's supposed to supervise things. So you look ahead a little bit, and you should have had a gavel instead of tapping on the table. That right away changes the whole level of the affair.
Well, I think there was a fundamental flaw, a fatal error, which was not having a sound system. That meant that anybody who wanted to make a sound could be in competition with the presentation that was attempting to be made.
Nuala, pleased to meet you.
Hi.
Could you tell me why the meeting was closed down tonight?
You'd have to ask the supervisor, but I think you were here when there was all that disruption. Nobody could hear anybody.
If given a chance again to set up this meeting, what would you do differently?
I don't set up the meetings. However, I would strongly recommend that we have a microphone so people could hear each other. And I would also ask that if somebody's standing next to somebody who's saying cancel the meeting and stomping their feet and talking over the speaker, that maybe the crowd just gently, step in.
But Anula, they wouldn't have been allowed or able to talk over the speaker if we had a microphone.
Yeah, I hope I answered your question.
When will this meeting be held again?
I don't know. You've got to ask the supervisor.
Okay.
And I think the 2-minute clock should be where everybody can see it, and the 2 minutes starts and the 2 minutes ends, because that's what started all this. She went over her 2 minutes.
If this is enacted as hi. I didn't realize that was there. I didn't realize it was there. Yeah, the current ordinance is unconstitutional facially, and if there's so many things wrong with it, I won't even bother to describe it. But if they were going to pass that tonight, I could file suit in a week. But apparently, they're willing to work with people, and I have had a nice dialogue with one of the committee members here, and I proposed that I rewrite the ordinance to make it acceptable to both musicians and to the people on the other side of the fence, if you will.
I think the irony of the situation is that a meeting about restricting amplified music was hindered because there was no amplification available and nobody could hear. They were wrong in not realizing that this meeting needed a microphone and a speaker so people could hear what the people were going to say about amplified music.
We cannot legislate one group of artisans and working people out of the business industrial zone based on the fact of noise, because all of the other trades that the town relies on, automotive repair, the lumber yard, they make way more noise than, they're starting at 90 dBs and ramping it down to 120 all day long. But you're going to say, because sound is egregious, music at 80 dBs can't be allowed, but a small engine repair can operate till 10 o'clock at night. That's my piece. It doesn't provide a remedy for the complainants, right? A sense, and it just legislates now restrictions on free speech. So we don't want to put laws in place that break people's rights. We want to maybe restrict corporate entities from monopolizing the town and gaming it as part of their investment strategy. That's what we want to regulate.
The last Saturday, you were shut down on the Woodstock Green and another musician. Now, if this new legislation came in, this new ordinance, what would have happened? Speak to me about fines.
Well, first of all, I probably would have been the point person for it, since I brought an electronic device onto the green. And so the first time I would have gotten a $250 fine. If I had been done such again, the second fine would be $750, and the third fine would be $1,500. If I'm busking in this town, I can tell you I haven't made $1,500 a year. I mean, maybe I should practice more, but I haven't made $1,500 a year busking in 20 years. So,
What effect is that going to have on musicians dependent on making a living here in town?
It's devastating already. It is devastating. It is beyond anything you could imagine. The artists come here and they don't mind. That's been the history of the art colony. People would come here, their creature comforts wouldn't be there. They'd be living really hard, but they got to be making art, and that's why the colony, they pulled together for that. But the musicians now, all the artists, except for the very successful ones, they're living below what would be even reasonable subsistence levels for a commune of artists. I mean, they're really, but they're staying here because where else are they going to go where they're going to find the diversity of creative energy, and all the creative people from the world are coming here, not just because they want to be in a zoo and look at the art. They actually want to come here, most of them, because they want to participate in the artist colony. A lot of our tourists are artists, and they want ways in. And if you sweep this off the street, appease a couple of people who live in the industrial zone that don't want noise, what you're going to do is not only going to kill the artist colony, which has been here for 125 years, you're going to destroy the lives of the musicians and working families and the people that own the venues, but you're going to hurt every family in this town, because our entire economy, even if your business has nothing to do with it and you don't care one way or another, there's residual money coming through every shop, every business, every shingle on Main Street. Residual money during season from the tourist trade. So now if you just kill the brand and the artist and then just leave it for as long as that brand hangs there, it'll increase real estate values for the people behind a lot of what our changes are. This is a win for them.
As far as you know, is there any of the committee members working musicians here in this town, dependent on music for a living? Is there any waiters? Speak to me about waiters, barmen.
Well, this is the next point. I'm going to speak about that. I want to say, with all respect, I know Jerry Murata, but he's not a working musician in this town. He's at the level where if he works in this town, he's doing it mainly for a service for someone he's helping out, or just because musicians need to be assembling and producing art, so he'll come out and play. But he does not at all representative at this stage in his career of what a working artisan.
And the other members?
What's that?
And the other members of the committee?
They're now using the fact that 800 people signed a petition saying we want live music in this town. They're even gaslighting us about that. It's just so we have a belligerent board that's deadlocked. That the parties that want music to end, they're not willing to cooperate with the process in any other way except to say that we need this to end. And that's it. That's not a negotiating position. That's
What would your ideal solution be?
And so the process broke down. The mechanisms that were supposed to happen, the taking of readings, none of this happened because the belligerent few on the negotiating were not interested in negotiating. So that was the problem.
What would your solution be to this situation?
This is perfect. The board is not in a position now where they can make a competent decision, and the information that was just presented is compromised by the committee's breakdown and failure to attend to the tasks that they had on their list. So what needs to happen is, if there's to be any updating of the regulations about noise here, we need to institute the past practice as it existed for the last 50 years, because that past practice has created reasonable expectations about me to eat, reasonable expectations about other business owners, reasonable expectations on tourists who are spending money to come here. And they must allow us to go back to what was, even if people are aggrieved, that's fine, but there's a process in place. You can't have a third year where they're harassing the industry that supports it and expect that there aren't consequences already. Businesses going out of business because they can't go through another season. Most people here, if they don't have, they have to make a lot more money during the season in order to survive here through the winter. And that's a fact, okay? There's, any working person will tell you, if you don't have a year-round job here and you're dependent on the tourist trade, you have to hustle during the season so that you can pay your heating bill in February.
Is it fair on the police that they have to enforce this new ordinance?
This is horrible, because it's creating this is really bad, because it's creating a lot of resentment for our public servants in this town. The police have been for years tasked with kind of interpreting an unclear law that's been on the books for a long time, and it usually went by past practice, but the law is written that it's at the discretion of the officer responding. And so now that policy has been turned into, whenever there's any complaint, instead of having an officer who knows the town, because now our police force is not townies anymore, this has happened in the last 10 years. We've gone to a police force where they're in the cars with the windows and all the military gear. When we had cops driving in a squad car walking through town, and they would know the troublemakers from the members of the community who are actually part of a community of artists who are actually representing what they do in the town. And so to put the police in that position is untenable, and it creates resentment towards them. And if I were in their union, I would be saying, no. If you people don't settle this, we're going to bring action against you, because you can't put our people in that position. You have not given us sufficient guidance as to how a law would be, administered, especially if the law is not clear. So
Speak to me about
it
the
has to be
vagueness,
done.
the
This has
vagueness,
to be-
the vagueness of the new ordinance.
It's the ordinance is vague and confusing in its wording. It's very badly written. There's violent language in it directed towards musicians. And the first paragraph is just municipal violent language. It totally is. But the problem is that the substance of what they're trying to do is clear, and that's they're trying to take music and criminalize that, and allow all the other businesses that make more egregious noise to continue operating from 7 a.m. till 10 at night. And so if the guys at the Mobile Street or whatever are making a heck of a lot of noise, and this man gets told to shut down the bar across the street where there's a band playing, he's going to be faced with the fact that the people sitting outside are going to look at him and like, that's louder than, but because of the fact that the town is not giving proper guidance. This is the emergency that created the need for an updated regulation. The problem is it's being used as an opportunity to target one type of sound and to categorize it as noise more egregious than the saws at our lumber mill, the hammer wrenches at an automotive repair, or even a sculptor in this town, a Columbia Arts, who works with metal or stone. Chop saws, chopping that, all, if they're successful, all day long, grinding, it's all power tools. Their baseline sound is going to be 90 dBs in their shop, just like any other trade would be. And, but I won't be here. If that happens, I won't be here because I won't be able to afford to live here. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Living around here can really get an artist down. Man, it ain't easy in this $1 million one-horse town. I ain't got that do-re-mi, but you all are real fine company, and I'd like to get to know you before we move on. Because nobody really knows you when you're gone.